Hi, my name is Josie Miller, and this is my biology presentation entitled Cultural Differences in Marriage Beliefs. So before we start, I just wanted to share this picture that I found on Google, and it shows a love marriage versus an arranged marriage, and you can tell on the love marriage, there's just a person jumping in to a pit, it looks like, just by himself, for himself, while the arranged marriage, someone's jumping in, he doesn't seem happy, and there's people behind him cheering him on. So that's kind of what an arranged marriage is. It's benefiting not just two people, but the two people's families. So that's what that one depicts. And then we'll go into the introduction. So we'll talk about cultural evolution. So usually we talk about biological evolution, but it can be even applied to study cultural change as well, and that's according to Masudi from 2016. So we've heard the term genes before. Memes are quite similar to those, although they're non-genetic, so they are ideas or beliefs that are shared in a culture. And I believe they're just important as genes because they may not determine what the individual will look like, but it will determine how a culture will act or what they believe in. And then Charles Darwin's contribution. So a lot of people think that his ideas of biological evolution, such as variation, natural selection, and inheritance, can be also applied to cultural evolution. And then I'll go into further detail about that in the rest of the presentation, but that was also according to Masudi from 2016. And then just talking about the origins of marriage. So if you look up the general umbrella term of marriage, it's the legally or formally recognized union of two people as partners in a personal relationship, and that's according to Oxford Languages from 2022. So research has suggested that the earliest marriage occurred in 2350 BC, and it occurred for a bond between a man and a woman, for the woman to become the man's property and therefore bear his and only his children. So it was basically like the man owned the woman and that she could be with no other man and just this man. So marriage in the United States, we have a picture on the side over here. So that's what a lot of marriages look like in the U.S. It's planned out, party planning, all that. What marriage is like in the U.S. is there's a freedom of choice. We get the choice to choose our partners, and it's based on love and companionship rather than the arranged marriage where it's set up by the families. So this means the two people who are actually getting married will benefit as a result of being with one another, but not necessarily their parents. And then research does suggest that mate selection exists, and that men desire a mate based on physical attractiveness and likelihood of reproductive potential, while women desire a mate with earning potential, such as ambition and status, where if they had a family, they would be able to provide for it. And that's according to Sprecher et al. From 1994. So we usually think of mate selection as an aspect in biological evolution, but as we can tell, it can also be applied to cultural evolution as well. So the picture on the left depicts what a marriage would be like in India, so an arranged marriage. And an arranged marriage is a mutual benefit of both families, so it's more the legality of the marriage, what they get out of it, so financially and power aspects of what it would mean to marry into that family. By marrying into that family, they would gain wealth, power, or alliance, which this shows to have a greater opportunity for offspring. So if you're talking about an arranged marriage, say in India, you're putting two wealthy families together, setting up success for the offspring that those two could have together. This slide is just a few definitions of population genetics. So first, natural solution. We think about this in biological evolution as survival of the fittest. in cultural evolution, we can think of this as the trait or belief in the culture that is most popular, so one that has stuck around. Genetic drift, there's two types of them, one being the bottleneck effect, which is a reduction in population size as an effect of environmental occurrences, while the founder effect is a small number of members of a larger population inhabiting a new location. So in regards to cultural evolution, the bottleneck effect could be just a reduction in people who have a certain belief as a result of something occurring that doesn't make it successful, while the founder effect could be a small number of groups of members who have certain beliefs leaving their old habitat and going into a new location where they share their beliefs. And mutation occurs randomly in a DNA sequence and is considered a change in one's DNA. It could also be a reason for cultural evolution. Since it is a random change, we can look at it in a cultural aspect of why something changes. So in this case, we'll talk later about how now there is an increase in living together before marriage in the United States, which was unheard of many years ago. So we'll go into further detail about that. And then the last one is gene flow. So gene flow in biology is the movement of genetic information from one population to another. In cultural evolution, this could be the idea of memes being transferred into a culture from another culture. So again, talking about natural selection, according to Robert Carnero, natural selection is a master principle. It applies not only to the evolution of life, but also to the evolution of culture, and that is from 1992. So natural selection in the case of cultural evolution is kind of this idea of popularity and success, so what works in the society. And we can see that arranged marriage is successful in India, so that's why it keeps going, while love and companionship is successful and popular in the U.S. So we in the U.S. marry for love, and that it has been successful in what we like to do, so that's kind of why it stays. So in terms of genetic drift, I related this to the founder effect and thought that people in the countries of India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, where arranged marriage is common, they had sought to find freedom to avoid their arranged marriages. So they inhabited new places where they will find success, such as the U.S., where they could marry for someone they love and have freedoms which they wouldn't have in an arranged marriage. So they choose to leave their countries and come to the United States because they seek happiness and not just the money and power that their families want them to have. So article by Helen Liebling suggests that asylum seekers flee their countries to find refuge somewhere else, and they include individuals who are going to be placed into arranged marriage, and that is from 2014. And as I talked about in a few slides ago, the idea of mutation was just a random change. So I related this to childbearing and living with a partner before marriage, because this idea was unheard of and frankly thought as disturbing in earlier years, and it has evolved over time where a lot of people who are not married are living together, and it is seen as more common and less of a problem than it was back then. So that's why this is considered a mutation in cultural evolution, because it was a random change. Nobody knows really why it happened or how it happened, but it did. And then gene flow, so this is just the genetic information from one population to another, but can be similar to the ideas of memes being transferred from one culture to another. So I think of this as the Europe Enlightenment thinkers. So the idea of love didn't exist until the 17th or 18th century when the Industrial Revolution began. And this idea began in Europe by the Enlightenment thinkers from Europe, which was from The Origins of Marriage in 2015. When the settlers arrived in America, the Enlightenment thinkers wanted the goal of marriage to be from love and happiness and not a need for money and power. So this idea of thinking led men to find a woman that he loved and paid for the whole wedding regardless if he gained approval of his parents or the parents of his bride. So before this, the marriage of wealth and power, the parents would just wed their daughter off to a man and form alliances with the groom's family. So this had changed their way of thinking where wealth and power were no longer a factor, but they wanted love and happiness instead. And then just going over the conclusion slide, I added a few more pictures of the top picture being a marriage in the U.S. So you can tell they both look super happy. They just got married. And then you look at the bottom picture, and this is supposed to depict an arranged marriage. So it's kind of like the bride and groom are the pawns. And I would assume the people holding them are kind of the families who are getting them involved with each other. And then just going over the genes and memes one more time. So the genes are the biological aspects, the genetic information that's passed down from parents to offspring. Well, memes are more of the cultural aspect and non-genetic information such as beliefs and customs that are being passed down from generations into a culture. So the importance of memes. So throughout this presentation, I think that memes are just as important as genes because they depict what a whole culture will believe in and what a whole culture will kind of be accustomed to, which is just as important as the individual traits of people in the culture, which are made up of genes. And then the last topic is I think that natural selection is the population genetics that has made marriage in India successful because arranged marriages have remained popular and has shown success in their culture, and it explains why it's so different from ours. And then genetic drift in the U.S., I think we can thank the Enlightenment thinkers for allowing our idea of marriage to kind of change in the aspect that we no longer want wealth and money and power, but rather love and happiness. So I think that these ideas explain kind of why marriage beliefs are so different in cultures, and we can have population genetics to explain why these occur. And then these are just all of my references, and thank you for listening.